Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Hank Strange. I want to do an update on this Springfield Armory Rock River Arms situation that's ongoing right now. This is a story that will not die at this point. So I want to do something on that. I just want to say quickly that when we were out at the NRA this year, literally a few days ago, you know, Lola and I should definitely speak for myself. I came to the conclusion that, you know, instead of waiting for people to give you a seat at the table, you have to create your own table and make sure that you are in control of your own narrative. And this is something I've been talking to a lot of people about who have asked me to make sure that I get out there and let people know what I feel about things that are going on in the news, specifically related to guns, the Second Amendment, etc. You know, and one of the things with that is I've been, you know, I don't think that everyone out there is aware of all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes with companies, and I think it's about time that we stopped supporting companies and giving the ability to companies to get away with the stuff that they're doing behind the scenes. So that's one of the reasons why I am making these comments and putting this stuff out there. At the end of the day, it's still really just my opinion. I'm reading the news just like you guys are, and in some cases you guys may not be reading the news. I'm reading it, I'm giving you my opinions, my reaction to the stuff that I'm reading. Okay, so let's jump into this whole thing that's going on in Illinois, and specifically what's happening with this lobbying group that is known as the IFMA, which I believe stands for Illinois Firearms Manufacturers Association. It's a lobbying group that is funded or was created specifically by Rock River Arms and Springfield Armory to go out there and lobby for gun rights, basically, right? To be a pro-gun lobbyist in the state of Illinois, to make sure that they, as a manufacturer, did start this group. And I understand there's people out there saying that, of course, if you start a group and it's supposed to do positive things for your company, that's what you do. So I get that, I understand it, but they themselves say that they support the Second Amendment and they support overall gun rights in America. So just to bring everyone up to speed on what's going on, Springfield Armory and Rock River Arms have issued statements at this time online. You can check out all this stuff. It's on The Truth About Guns. A lot of this is covered in the various gun blogs that are out there. And I was watching this afternoon, Mac for Military Arms channel did a live video which I shared on my social media, which I think was really good. Mac always does a good job with this stuff. I saw him and Dave, and I believe Sam that works in the shop with them. I think they did a great job. So I shared that, I watched it. I kind of caught the end of it, so I waited for it to end, then went back to the beginning, watched the whole thing. I recommend you guys do that because they give a lot of information on all of this. If you don't have the time to go read all the different articles and try to put together what's happening here, I think that's a good thing for you to do. That's not what I'm really going to do here. I'm just going to tell you what I think about it. Also, something else going on, Artisan Tony, who is my friend. I've known him since I got into this whole gun thing that I'm doing, and he's always been supportive. I was a fan of his, looked at his videos before I even started making my own videos. You know, he's got some opinion on this as well, and that's kind of one of the things that's happening here. Everyone's like lining up in camps, and I think most people are on the side of, you know, we should do something to voice our opinions and our anger and rage at these two companies that are supposed to be pro-Second Amendment companies that are obviously doing something that's very anti-Second Amendment. So most people are in that camp. There are some people who are in the camp of, hey, you know, we don't know what's going on. It's not the company's fault. We shouldn't fight the companies. You know, we should fight the laws, etc. I understand that. So Artisan Tony, what I want to tell you, if you go check out his YouTube channel, if you're not subscribed to it already, you should be. Just go look on YouTube /Artisan Tony or search Artisan Tony in YouTube. You see he put up a video. Someone from one of these companies, a representative, called him and was speaking to him on this subject, and he recorded that and he shared it with us. I think it's also something very interesting for you to go watch and listen to what they have to say. So now basically In the statement that they put out, they said that they are pro-Second Amendment, they support the Second Amendment and gun rights in America, and they admitted that this lobbying group belongs to them and they started it, and they're basically running this, in control of this lobbying group. However, they say that they didn't know what these guys were up to. They weren't aware of what they did specifically. So they say that in their statement, and the representative that spoke to Artisan Tony also reiterates that when she's talking to him. And that's something that I want to touch on. I want to also give people, I think in this video, a way that I think that you could do something about this. But let me touch on that first. So they're saying that they started this company, they funded this lobbying group. It's not a big lobbying group. It's not, from my understanding, like some huge firm with a whole bunch of different people. It seems like a very small firm that they started, they should be in control of, and they had no idea that this firm agreed to carve outs for them that would essentially make, if this goes into law, I think it passed the Senate in Illinois, but it has not, it's not a law right now, right? So I think it still has some steps that it has to go through to become a law, and so there's still the ability to block it. But if it becomes a law, it's going to make it very difficult for small companies, mom and pop companies and individuals to sell guns, and for people to buy guns from individuals selling guns in the state of Illinois. I mean, it's going to become very, very difficult. It's going to put a lot of small mom and pop stores out of business. So, they say that when they look at this, they didn't agree with that. I don't know if they've actually severed their relationship with this lobbyist group. They should have done that. If they haven't done it already, they should do it. But it's really hard for me to believe that. It's really hard to believe that they started this group. This thing is so important. It's directly related. If you're saying, if you're a business out there, you should be out there, fighting for your particular rights and all that, that's capitalism or whatever. I get it. I get what you're saying. If that's so important and these companies were not on top of what these lobbyists were doing, then something really, really horrible is going on here, and you have to think about that. And I don't believe that. I think they have to be on top of what these guys are up to. And these people must have had some kind of communication with them about what's going on here. And now to compound that situation, The Truth About Guns has an article out, which I shared on my Facebook page as well as other places. Springfield Armory and Rock River Arms made campaign contributions to anti-gun rights politicians. So you can go look this up and you can read it for yourself. I think it makes a lot of sense. So that makes it worse in my opinion, right? So not only were these guys doing something that would be so detrimental to everyone else in the gun community in Illinois, and then conversely throughout the country, because other states might start picking up this kind of stuff or think, hey, if they can get away with it in Illinois, we can try to push it in other places. Their money, the money that Springfield Armory and Rock River Arms was giving to this lobbyist group, was getting funneled to anti-gun politicians in Illinois. So at some point here, I think these groups have to stop blaming other people, come out, take the blame, say they did something horribly wrong, and admit that and take all the responsibility for that. And that's the way for them to maybe start building back some credibility and maybe begin to put out some of these fires. If they do that, and then we see them actually working to reverse this stuff, and maybe we get this stuff reversed, and then they continue to fight the good fight for Second Amendment rights. Now, I'm not saying, I guess really what I'm going to say, you could probably put it in the category of calling it a boycott. And there's people out there that say, oh, you shouldn't boycott the companies. That's not doing something when you refuse to buy stuff. I think inaction is an action. So I don't really believe that. If you can't say that you're not doing something when you refuse to buy these things. Okay? That I don't really accept that. You're saying inaction is an action. Just like if these companies knew or did not know about this but did not keep tabs on these lobbyists, that's still an action. So it's the same thing for us. We have to, we feel like we want to do something about it. What I'd like to do is encourage people to do the right thing about it. And here's something I think we can do, because if you have these guns and you go out there and sell the guns that you already have, how does that really affect the company? You know what I mean? I don't really think that the company is going to feel that. So what we have to do is refuse to buy these guns anymore. Okay, and the way that I think you can start doing that is by getting in touch with your local gun store. I know I've been talking to a few of my local gun stores today, and I'm going to continue to do so, and find out if they're carrying these guns. You know, and if they're carrying these guns, ask them politely. You can't really demand, you can't make other people do things, but I would say to them, look, you know, if you're going to carry these guys' guns, not only am I not going to buy those guns from you, but I'm not going to come into your store. I'm not going to give you my business. That's the way I look at it. That's the way that I see to make these people feel the pain, and then from this point on, do something about this and begin to take actions and keep tabs of people that they have working for them and realize how important this is. So go to your local gun stores, call them up, ask them to not carry these guns, okay? And I think what will happen there is when the local gun stores realize that there's something going on and their customers are not happy about this, they will stop carrying these guns in the store, and they will call up the distributors and say, hey, don't send us any of these guns, or as a matter of fact, we're sending back whatever we ordered from you. And then when the distributors start to get wind of that and realize that it's hitting them, then they will get in touch with these companies and say, listen, don't send us this stuff. We're not ordering anything from you anymore. We don't want any of your material right now because we're not going to be able to sell it. You know, I think that's the way to deal with this. Then maybe Springfield Armory and Rock River Arms will hear our voice, I believe, if they haven't already heard it. I don't think what we're doing on social media is enough to actually get these companies to do something, because they're not doing the right thing yet. They're not taking responsibility. This, I think, is a way to really hit them where it hurts. And yes, it's unfortunate that there's people that work at these companies that are just employees and they're feeding their families and putting a roof over their heads, etc., by working at these companies, and they're going to suffer, and that's unfortunate. You know, maybe the employees of these companies need to get a louder voice and talk to their bosses and tell them that this is serious business. You know, we right now are very close, believe it or not. Just because we have Trump in office does not mean that it's like a paradise now for gun guys. We still have to keep pressure on these people. I think we still have to keep pressure on the NRA and all the gun rights groups out there, and we have to keep pressure on the companies, because they fund lobbyists. They fund groups like the NRA, etc. They give money to these places. I see there's people asking like, well, what does the NRA say about this? I would be shocked if the NRA had anything to say about this. I'm not knocking the NRA. I just went to the NRA meeting. I support the NRA. I know some people in there, you know, but I'm still a little guy in the NRA, and I figure I'll probably always be a little guy in there. So, and it's because, you know, the people who really have power are these companies that have the money. And the only way for them to feel our pain and realize how serious we are about these gun rights issues, about the Second Amendment, about them standing up for the Second Amendment because they get our money and then they choose what to do with it, is to make them feel the pain financially. Call it a boycott, call it whatever you want. It really doesn't matter to me. I think it is an action. I think it is an action, and it's more than just getting mad on social media and leaving bad messages for those guys. I don't really think that's working at this point a few days in. I think they really, really need to start to feel the pain seriously before they do something about this. So once again, I'm going to say my idea, what I think people should do about it. If you're a person, if you're an individual, get in touch with your local gun stores, ask them if they're carrying this stuff, ask them not to carry it, and suggest to them that if they still insist on carrying it, they won't get your business. If you're a gun store, stop carrying these things, okay? And if you're a distributor out there, there's a few distributors out there around the country, don't take these guys' guns, because you're gonna take possession of something that you're gonna have a very tough time moving in the future. So, you know, and then ultimately, if you're Springfield Armory and if you're Rock River Arms, you need to step up to the plate, take responsibility for what's going on here, take full 100% responsibility, admit that you did something wrong by not monitoring these lobbyists and what they were doing in your state, you made a huge, colossal, tragic mistake. That's the first step towards fixing this. Do that, and then get out there and try your hardest to stop this, because, you know, I don't know if you can. I don't know if this thing can be pulled back right now, but you need to really make an effort to stop this and pull it back. Whether you do or you don't, you need to, from now on, seriously fight this fight with us. Seriously get in there. Don't give us lip service on these issues. Get out there, fight the fight. This right now, these times that we're living in, could be what changes everything. Okay, I'm worried about people feeling like the future is set because we've got Trump as president for the next couple of years. You know, that's true, but you know, the future is not set. We have to keep fighting, and this is the time to fight. So I don't know, I've been running on and on and on here. I think I'm gonna call it quits right here. I just wanted to make an update, let you guys know what I think about all this stuff. I'm Hank Strange. I appreciate your support. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this video with your friends. Please, this is a call to action. Get out there and ask other people to do something about this. Peace out.